play?
So over the weekend, it became particularly explosive as an issue. Katherine Deves is her name. She's running in the seat of Warringah. She's a hand-picked candidate, essentially of the Prime Minister's. She's trying to recapture what was once a very safe Liberal seat, Tony Abbott's old seat, which has now been lost to the independent Zali Steggall, who has really, entrenched herself and made a name for herself in the Parliament. So Katherine Deves is the candidate, and it's since been revealed that there are, I cannot tell you how many, countless now deleted social media posts where she says the most inflammatory things about trans people, but much broader issues about the rainbow flag and LGBTI communities.
That
where
surely
Purple
the Liberal
Day
executive would have been aware of before she was
They
chosen.
certainly must have been aware of, and in fact, she was chosen despite those views. And in fact, it seems to me her main issue that she's been campaigning on is these issues. She's incredibly passionate about them, but says many ill-informed, inaccurate things which are dangerous to young people struggling as they are dealing with their gender identities. So that's the background. Thursday's the deadline for not putting her forward as the official candidate for the Liberal Party. So we are now on Tuesday getting close to that moment. The Prime Minister has strongly backed her up. John Howard has strongly backed her. So there is Tony Abbott, the former member, who lost the seat, can I say. So I don't know how much his endorsement means, given that there's a bit of fragility there in terms of his own brand. But they've all strongly backed her as the candidate and said that she's apologised, even though I cannot see any evidence of her distancing herself from these very extreme views. Today, something quite extraordinary happened, in my view, and I'll explain why. On the weekend, Matt Kean, who's the New South Wales Treasurer, very senior Liberal in the country, said that he thought she should be disendorsed, right? Should be, because she doesn't represent the Liberal Party. Prime Minister came on the top of him and went, nah, we're not going to do that. Today, in his first broadcast interview with me on RM Breakfast, he came on, talked about various issues, but then made these points, and people have to hear them to understand.
When you say first broadcast, what do you mean?
Oh, well, he put out some tweets and quotes to newspapers, but to actually speak on the issue,
right.
I know it seems like, why does that make a difference? I'll explain. In the contest of ideas in an election campaign, to go on the record and use your voice to go that next level in an election campaign is it's seen as a pretty contentious decision to make. Many people in the party will be very unhappy about that decision. He made it, though, because he clearly thinks that this is something that he should fight on. And he made some interesting comments about the threat that keeping her as their candidate for the Liberal Party does to moderates like Dave Sharma and Trent Zimmerman, who are being strongly contested by independents in their seats. Here it is.
Well, I am very worried. I think Trent Zimmerman is one of the best people that is serving in our parliament. I mean, he's been my mentor and he's been one of my heroes. Dave Sharma is another outstanding Liberal in the Liberal Party, and I want to make sure that they're able to continue to play a key role in shaping the direction of our country.
Does this hurt their chances?
Prosperous society. Well, I think it does, and I'm very concerned about that. And I'll certainly be doing everything I can to support Trent Zimmerman, Dave Sharma, and people like that. And I don't think having candidates that want to spruik the politics of division is in the interests of the party or in the interests of those particular candidates.
So that's the New South Wales Treasurer, Matt Kean, speaking to me this morning.
Effectively saying she should be dumped.
Absolutely saying she should be dumped, but also going further. What he's actually saying is he's warning that it will have an electoral impact in other seats. So not just in Warringah, where I think the Liberals know they've got very little chance of seizing back that seat, in Wentworth, in North Sydney, and also it's I think a message from the very senior moderate in New South Wales, in the New South Wales Treasurer, that these moderate MPs, remember there's a right and a left just like there is in the Labor Party, should be able to fight their hardest to maintain their seats and not be lost to the Parliament, because there is a fear from the moderates that this strategy that's being embarked on, Joe, will mean that they'll lose their candidates and that will, in the long term, actually hurt the political wing, the moderate wing of the Liberal Party, but also the Liberal Party brand, which Matt Kean in that interview, people can listen to it on the ABC Listen app. Sorry, I have to spruik it. It's worth listening to the whole thing.
And the suggestion is this is a very deliberate strategy.
Well, we also have, which I think is well timed, the leak, which is in the newspapers today, that Trent Zimmerman, the member for North Sydney, fighting to maintain that seat, to be re-elected and under incredible pressure, also asked the Prime Minister's office, intervened to ask for this candidate, Katherine Deves, to be dumped. So that's being reported today too. And now he hasn't, again, gone on the record yet. There's huge restrictions during an election campaign on people to go and break party ranks when the Prime Minister said something. People think, oh, why don't they? Well, yeah, I'm a journalist, I want to hear everyone's views, but there is restrictions on them and the way that they're allowed to sort of break party ranks. But he did ask for the Prime Minister's office, for the Prime Minister to intervene and dump her. Clearly, his message hasn't been heeded. Matt Kean's hasn't been heeded. And this is now seen as an issue of the Prime Minister digging his heels in.